Welcome to the Undrafted, Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome, everyone, to the Undrafted Uncensored, part of the E5280 Sports Network, where I am stupid loud in my head. I hope I wasn't stupid loud to you guys. And if any NBA player or any NBA teams want to waste $23 million on terrible basketball play, I am available.
I thought you were going to say, if anyone wants to foul Zion Williamson, I'm down to fight.
I don't even need to play in order to waste your $23 million.
I mean, George Poole didn't really play the other day, so I mean, there's that.
Dude, Jordan Poole. Oh man, Jordan Poole almost deserves his own entire Lose Bad segment. With just, dude, the amount of hype around him when they won the championship. And then how it just immediately went to his head and he acted like an asshole. Like, when Draymond Green thinks you're an asshole, you're a fucking asshole. Like, they had that fight in practice, and then the team just never really felt cohesive. Poole would just take a million shots. And that was one of the biggest things that cost them in the playoffs. And then, he goes to Washington, and it's like, all right, maybe he'll kind of figure it out and work on his game. And no, he takes more shots now.
See, when you started that, Joe, I thought you were totally doing your Lose Bad segment by trying to take the focus of Lose Bad off of Jordan Poole and just sending it on to Draymond Green. That's all I expected when you started that. You were just going to change what we were supposed to talk about,
Yeah, exactly. The rule number one is actually don't talk about Fight Club, but rule number two is also
don't talk about what we're supposed to talk about.
The number three is there are no rules.
Jordan Poole, his flame has burnt out faster than Bones Highland flame burn out. Last year at this time we were talking about Bones Highland. I was re-listening to our shows from last year, doing my demo tapes and stuff, and I said some stupid stuff about Bones, saying how I was worried about it haunting us, trading him for nothing. And all the times the Nuggets would have to play him in the West, and him coming back to kick our ass.
I remember.
I don't even know if he's played a minute for the Clippers against the Nuggets.
I'm sure he's played a couple minutes. I mean, when he was in town, he did Michael Porter Jr.'s podcast and stuff. So he was there. He was doing some stuff. But they're so deep. The Clippers are maybe the second deepest team in the NBA behind the Knicks. So, they don't need to play Bones Highland, and they kind of seem happy about that.
Didn't he get sent home again too?
He did on trip 2 right before the All-Star break. Him and someone else. We talked about that the other show. He got sent. He got sent back home for the remainder of the trip before the All-Star break that the Clippers had.
Yeah, some kind of injury, maybe. I don't remember.
He was not injured. The other guy was. I'll find it in our group chat.
Oh, man.
I sent it to our group chat, though.
I mean, he didn't stay on one team and piss him off, so he's not quite like Killian Hayes, but he's working his way up there.
This was from, I don't know what day this was, I guess, but
was it
Clippers sent home Bones Highland and PJ Tucker.
Oh, yeah, PJ Tucker's pissed.
Yeah,
he's trying to get more playing time, and they're just, for whatever reason, not playing one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball. So they're kind of fucking up there.
Yeah.
But
it's old news.
Yeah, that's just he's still pissed. Like, he wanted a trade. He actually got fined by requesting a trade in an interview. I don't remember if
we talked about that
or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
I was like, I remember saying this to somebody. It could have just been in conversation.
Yeah, we talked about it when it happened a few weeks ago. Yes.
So we read the private chats aloud, right?
Can I still hear it? Dang it. Okay. Thought I found the setting, but I'll deal with it later.
I told you, another day, Nick, another day.
Raindrops keep falling
I'm
on
trying
my
here, okay?
head.
I'm trying. I'm trying to be a professional, okay?
I mean, well, a professional would know these things beforehand, all right?
Well, this is the first time. I've had this thing for 48 hours, not even.
I really wish
36 hours.
like it's I know it's Saturday and it's noon and you're probably not okay. It's a liquid death. I was gonna say I'm trying to be professional over here.
Oh.
Cracks a beer immediately.
Yeah, no, it's liquid death. Rest in peach. Hashtag not a sponsor. DMs are open.
Oh yeah, I did the green tea one the other day. Shit's good.
I had a peach pancake this morning. Went out to breakfast with an old friend and had a peach pancake this morning from Snooze. I think I got like 2 or 3 pieces of peach. It was kind of disappointing.
Really?
Mascarpone, the vanilla cream, all delicious, but there was like no peaches in my peach pancake.
Oh, that's lame.
disappointing.
It
I
was,
thought you were going to end that with, and she was from Georgia. We didn't eat breakfast.
she did live in Georgia for a while.
Had me a peach pancake this morning. Didn't eat breakfast though.
You can't take anybody see, the problem is you're taking somebody from Georgia to get pancakes. I mean, already you're behind the 8 ball because they're expecting Waffle House.
No. This was not that. She had lived in Georgia before.
Yeah, still.
She's not from Georgia.
Doesn't
She's
matter.
from
There's still an
Indiana.
expectation. Like,
No.
you know, I go to New York, I expect good pizza. I don't expect you to take me to Domino's.
I mean, I'm not going to throw this place under the bus because I like this place. All right, it's a
Snooze is
really
actually
good
really
breakfast
good.
spot. Yeah,
Yeah, Snooze is good.
Like,
yeah,
I'm
Snooze
just
is
like
kind of above Waffle House.
this doesn't.
At least it wasn't Denny's.
This doesn't happen often there. That it's a disappointing pancake. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Waffle House
normally
is closer to Denny's than
Normally their
Snooze is.
pancakes crush. I mean, like I said, the mascarpone, the vanilla cream, all really good. But the lack of peach made it more like a pancake that someone accidentally put a peach or two in.
Especially from a state that has access to peaches.
Nah, it's out of season.
Still.
Millions of peaches. Peaches for me.
Freeze them or something.
Millions of peaches, none for me, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peaches come from a can. I didn't fucking get any.
Oh, man. So, speaking of Nuggets, I mean, now that we're done making fun of Jordan Poole and his inability to pass, except for looking like a T-Rex when he does it, it's time to start get serious. You know, there's less than 30 games to go here in the regular season.
Do we have to?
Well, I mean, we don't have to, but the Nuggets do.
Oh, thank God. Okay. I was worried for a second.
You know, you weren't.
No, it wasn't.
No, you weren't. Less than 30 games are remaining. And they took care of 2 opponents this week that they really should have anyway. Thank you, Trailblazers and Washington Wizards. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a second there because I couldn't remember where Portland was or who they were. I mean, obviously the Nuggets need to keep where they are in that top 3. How dire is it for them now this year to have that number 1 spot?
I mean, I don't think it's as dire as as some people want to put it. I mean, yeah, it's important, but I think if you're one of the top 3 seeds, which is all jumbled up. So last year the thing was it was the Nuggets and Memphis running away with it, really.
Yep.
And then the other squads, once again, I just re-listened to it all. There were like 8 teams all within like 4 games or something like that.
Yeah.
Of getting in for the rest of the spots. And this year it's different. The Nuggets are 1.5 games back, tied with the Clippers now, the resurgent Clippers, who have been, I don't know what the hell they had in their Wheaties, but maybe benching Bones Highland and PJ Tucker was the magic recipe for them because they've been on fire as of late.
Bones Highland, yes. PJ Tucker, I don't think so.
They've been winning without him.
Well, true, yeah.
Like literally, that was 2 weeks ago or so, or a week and a half ago that we talked about that. They sent him home on the trip before the All-Star break, and they've gone on a 7-game winning streak.
Well, yeah, he would have been a rotation guy anyway. I'm surprised. I'm still shocked they didn't just move him for a first-round pick. Like, do you not want first-round picks? You'd rather just keep a guy who's 38 and wants to maximize as many of the years that he has playing, that the caliber that he's playing, as he can. But
well, yeah, but maybe I mean, it was kind of the Bones Highland situation last year, and instead of trading him like the Nuggets did for nothing, the Clippers decided to hold on to him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the reasoning behind it, but they went on. They've gone on a run, and then you have the Timberwolves and the Thunder who are tied for first right now. So I'm not as worried about the Nuggets it being in that because I think they're going to end up in the top three. I'm not. I think the Clippers are going to fall apart at one point. Age is going to get to them. The Oklahoma City Thunder haven't been in this situation yet. The Timberwolves were built for the regular season. And I don't know how that's going to translate to the playoffs, but I'm not as worried about getting home court over the Timberwolves. I don't know if I should be worried, but I'm not. Clippers, we all know the history. Oh, hey, my package is delivered. I was like, who the hell's at my door?
Your turn.
You found me.
Next week it's Joe getting a package.
Yeah, right. So
I didn't order anything.
So I'm not worried about the Clippers because of past history. The Thunder are really good, and Oklahoma City's crowd can be really wild. Those days when it was Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, they were wild out there. So they'll be excited to have basketball back. I wouldn't want to play in Oklahoma City, but I'm not as worried about this team having to go on a stretch run to really propel themselves into first. I'd rather them be healthy going into the playoffs than have home court. Last year, I think home court was huge. This year, they're battle tested. They know they're a lot more prepared. So I'd be not ideal, but I'd be okay with them going on the road to Minnesota or LA for the Clippers. I'd rather have home court over the Thunder, though.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you, but for the opposite reasons. Because I feel like those are all good teams that like home court will help for sure because the Nuggets fans, but they're going to get a chance to play, at home anyway. And I feel like the Nuggets are just a good enough team that they'll steal one no matter what. But I'm kind of worried about it playing any of those teams in the later rounds of the playoffs because they're all very good. The Clippers, when the Nuggets had their number, they were coached by Doc Rivers. They haven't played the Nuggets in the playoffs since firing Doc Rivers. So that they're a very different team. Like Ty Lue was one of the best coaches in the NBA at this point. After what he did with Cleveland and LeBron years ago, and then now with the Clippers, like they're a very scary team. They're a team that people are picking as a title favorite potentially because they're so seasoned and they're just so deep and they're just dominating people. Like Paul George is on a slump and nobody cares because Kawhi Leonard is playing at like MVP level again. And James Harden has combined the like playmaking that he was doing a bunch last year in Philly with also being James Harden and shooting and scoring and Westbrook. Like that's a deep, scary team.
Joe, you only like the Clippers because they have Mason Plumlee. Don't lie.
I didn't even mention Mason Plumlee.
I know you were waiting for it.
I love Mason Plumlee. He's awesome.
You wanted him here last year in the trade deadline.
Yeah, because I wanted a backup center, but we didn't. Turns out we didn't need a backup center, so it didn't matter. So I'm kind of over the idea of getting a backup center at all. We ended up getting Thomas Bryant, which he didn't play. Who cares? Gordon can play the backup center minutes while Jokic is on the bench. Then Jokic comes back. Gordon can get a rest. You still have another big and Peyton Watson. It works out fine. I do like me some Mason Plumlee. I was sad to see him get hurt last year. But yeah, dude, the Clippers are scary. The T-Wolves defense is what scares me. The fact that Karl Anthony Towns has figured out kind of what we hope Michael Porter Jr. will start doing consistently is just trying on defense and using his big frame to just be there so that Rudy Gobert can just play drop and just protect the rim all the time. I've never worried about Gobert versus Jokic, but you put two really big guys up against Jokic. We've seen that work in the bubble with the Lakers, using a combination of three guys, but two at once, Davis and McGee, and then Davis and Dwight Howard. So that's what worries me about them. And then Anthony Edwards can just go off for ridiculous amounts of points. KCP, I think, will be able to hold him to an extent, but that Minnesota defense is what worries me, how every guy plays really good defense and they're very well coached. And then OKC, I think their youth is definitely their biggest flaw, and they can kind of get lost in the sauce to an extent, but they're extremely well coached. And Chet Holmgren changes the way Jokic plays because he's such a great shot blocker at the rim. So Jokic has to kind of change and shoot fadeaways and do different things, which he's capable of doing, which is fine. But these are all teams that I feel like the Nuggets are just going to have to steal one on the road anyway. So home court advantage, as much as I love it, I would just much rather be healthy. There were Michael Malone was asked on Altitude a few days ago on his weekly radio interview show. Rank 3 things. I forgot one of them, of course. It was staying healthy, number 1 seed, and something else. And he ignored the something else completely. He just goes last on that list, number 1 seed. First on that list, being healthy. We need to be able to, be prepared and play because so much is going to be asked of our starting 5 that they're going to need to be rested and ready to go, which leads me to believe that at least at this point in the season, he's less confident in his bench. Definitely than last year, which, is understandable because there's no Bruce Brown and no Jeff Green, who he just loved. But he seems a little more concerned about putting too much on the starting 5. So we might see some guys resting a little bit more towards the end of the season, and the Nuggets, being in that top 4, and that's really all you need. Just be in the top 4, you'll be fine. Obviously, top 6 is the bare minimum because you don't want to end up in the play-in, and I don't think they'll fall that far anyway.
They can't fall that far.
Everything's so close, but I don't want to see that.
Well, they're still 4 games ahead of 5th place right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so they'll be in the top 4 regardless.
The standings, the Nuggets, not regardless, but all signs point to it. It's going to take a lot for them to fall that far.
Well, yeah, it'll take something catastrophic, which obviously we're not just going to randomly predict terrible things.
Better knock on some wood there, guy.
And they're 5 games ahead of the play-in right now. So, yeah, it probably shouldn't happen. Not that Kevin Garnett, anything is possible, but it's very unlikely. To go back to what you were saying about OKC, yeah, they are young, but also when you watched the All-Star game, what I saw from Chet Holmgren was him pressing and feeling the pressure in the All-Star game. Yeah. And he wasn't able to deliver. He felt like he had to do I know it was the Rising Stars Challenge. It's about showing off, but I think that he was trying to show off and show that whatever, he was worthy, he was better than Wembanyama, whatever. But every time he had the ball, it was like a turnover. It was a missed shot, a bad shot. I don't think SGA will let him do that during the playoffs, but it just kind of goes to show that I think that if it were a playoff series with the Nuggets, that Chet might not be as big of a factor for the whole series. He will be a factor in some way, shape, or form in a game or two, but I just don't think he can go the whole series without putting the pressure on himself and fumbling, bumbling, stumbling up and down the court.
Ooh, we got a Chris Berman.
Yes, sir.
C. Berman. Colin
Gillespie had 3 threes last night. But
he did.
I think the Nuggets
bench was actually
pretty good. Peyton Watson defensively has stepped it up. I saw a stat that if he averaged 38 minutes a night, with the minutes he's playing, he would average 5 blocks or 6 blocks a game.
Dude, he's been a defensive revelation.
And that's what I'm saying. I think Malone, he wasn't really comfortable with the bench, but I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with some of these guys, even though
Watson, I don't know the issue. I think it's Christian Brown kind of being more timid, and then Reggie Jackson tending towards hero ball sometimes and just not having that Bruce Brown. I don't think Peyton Watson is the reason that he's less confident in the bench. I should have made that clear. My bad.
But sorry, Nick, but I do want to say one thing to go back to your MPJ point. MPJ last night had, I think it was 13 rebounds, 12 or 13 rebounds. He has stepped it up defensively as of late.
He's doing it.
I want to say 2 games ago, he had another double-double, or maybe he was close to it. With 9 boards. He had
a Jokic putback that was awesome. He threw it up, and then it was funny. Him and Gordon and Jokic were all just crammed together by the basket, and the ball just kept bouncing out, and Porter got the rebound and bounced it in 2 or 3 times, and it finally went in. But he got the Nikola Jokic, couple rebounds at the putback and just keep getting it. And Jokic was fighting for the rebound, too. He just didn't have as good a position. It just kept going back to Porter. But that was really cool to see. So yeah, if we get that consistently, I don't care about his shot.
And that was a game against the Wizards that normally you wouldn't see him show up for, or we haven't as fans seen him show up for in the past. So I think he has taken a little bit more to heart, especially after the All-Star break. Not that he was deserving of being an All-Star, but not being mentioned or in that circle. I think that it was kind of, I think it was one of his calls. I think it was actually a lot of the teams kind of wake up call or like, here we go moment. We just won the championship. We have one All-Star like we've had for all these years. We're one of the top teams in the West. We've been consistently a force in the NBA playoffs, and we still have one All-Star. So I think that kind of lit a fire underneath all of their asses. But MPJ, I think, definitely has played better defensively, or more competently defensively, and has put a focus on rebounding at both ends.
Yeah, both competent and confident. I think those are two big things that he didn't have in his brain, really, because he's got the range and the talent, the technical ability to do so. But we'll see if he keeps this up. I'm excited, but I'm excited anyway. I just I like sports. That's why we do this.
I mean, it'll be nice, and you guys are talking about Malone and not having that comfort level. I think it was just a matter of trying to find the right combination of guys again, because we saw him do it last year with pretty much 8 guys. I mean, he had a full bench still, but it really felt more like it was 8 guys than it was everybody on the bench participating. And he was just, I think now he's found his right combination. Like you guys said, Christian's kind of backed off a little bit, but Peyton Swatson is out there doing what he needs to do. And I mean, I didn't think we'd be calling that kid's name at all this year, and he's taken over that second unit almost.
Yeah.
So
I knew he was going to come on. He was one of those guys that was talked about last year, even. Like, is that the piece, the extra kind of wing defense, maybe, because he played some of those minutes towards the end of the year when they were kind of just sitting everyone. But yeah, he was the guy I was excited about to see this year for sure. The guy I'm most surprised about was Reggie Jackson, actually playing efficiently and not just chucking up ridiculous layups all the time, which he still does. And I kind of love it now because of the efficiency everywhere else. He can afford to just throw up those stupid prayers that would drive me crazy from guys like Will Barton. But Reggie seems to do it like in the best way. It's almost like a calculated risk, and it makes me happy. So he was my biggest surprise for sure. But then, like Colin mentioned, Colin Gillespie, and like we now kind of have some of those depth guys I was concerned about that we had last year, that like, Justin Holiday's played some meaningful minutes, even though he hasn't done much. He's sort of disappeared, but that's sort of okay because you don't notice him fucking up. So that's cool. But Zeke Naji, honestly, the past couple of games, granted it was against Washington and Portland. So like, what do you expect? But he had a bunch of blocks. I think him and Peyton Watson both had like 4 blocks in the night against Washington or some shit. So he might be starting to figure it out a little bit, which we've said this time of year, every year since they brought in Zeke Naji. So who knows? But there might be some depth on this team beyond the 8-man rotation that we've come to expect. And then obviously you've got DeAndre Jordan waiting in the wings, just kicking it to catch some lobs. So yeah, I feel good about the Nuggets depth. I was wishing they'd made one more trade at the deadline, but seeing last night with Jamal being out and all those guys playing, like, I'm kind of good with it. Let's go. Bring on OKC, bring on the T-Wolves, bring on the Clippers. The other teams I'm not worried about, but we'll have to play them. First round we'll end up getting Phoenix or Lakers or Golden State or the Pelicans or fucking somebody. I don't know.
Somebody in the West.
Yeah, they're not going to get the Heat. That's for sure.
Speaking of trades that should be made pretty soon, there's a lot of rumors still floating around about the Avalanche. They got a week left, 2 weeks left before they have to make a trade.
Yeah, March
4th, wasn't it? Or
no,
8th?
No. Oh my goodness! How many times we're gonna do this every single show? I'll type it in, Nick.
Thank you. I'm glad that you don't want to hear my keyboard.
March 8th.
No. Oh, March 8th. I think you said something else.
I was just like, "What? Yes, I'm looking at it now, Nick. Yes, it's March 8th. I'm looking at it. I'm literally reading an article right now."
Okay, hold on. But when
You
is
said
the,
more
when is
tape.
the trade deadline though?
You said more tape. Anyway, Colin's still trying to get his wish, and Sidney Crosby comes to Denver.
You love all those things I'm sending you guys.
Oh,
It's all
God,
over
dude.
the place.
It sounds great.
I can't wait till.
Even the Penguins fans want him to come to Denver.
Yeah,
Did you read that article about the 5 nightmare places and the one dream scenario? That's a Penguins fan, a Penguins writer. They want him in Denver. All right.
The quote said, "It's Crosby to the Avs or nothing for me." That was the quote at the end. Like we're kind of in a Ray Bork situation. I'm super stoked about this. Like, I'm not gonna bring up who called it, Colin. But might have predicted bringing in Sidney Crosby before anybody else. That's all I'm saying.
So, are we ever going to focus more on defense
No.
and goaltending, or are we going to be content with Sid the Kid?
You score more goals than the opponent to win, Nick. That's how that works.
Well,
have you not seen the Mighty Ducks too?
Yeah, we have a goaltender that plays 4 out of the 5 games every week.
Yeah, ignore the plot of Mighty Ducks 3. We're only talking about Mighty Ducks 2.
I tried to block out Mighty Ducks 3 from any memories. Well,
that movie's awesome. The guy that's like, "Fuck you, play defense. I only want you to shut them out." Like the guy that comes in and he's basically Patrick Waugh, the coach. It's kind of awesome.
So there are options and things out there for the Avs. I had mentioned the Kings. Another possibility is in Nashville. Nashville has a goaltender, Askarov, who's in the minors, who went 13-0 with 5 shutouts in January, allowing 1.9 goals against. So there is rumblings that Saros might be out of Nashville because while they're in the playoff hunt right now, like they're not in a championship window.
Mm-mm.
And the Avs, it's going to be tough. And this is going to take trading guys that we like and future guys. But this is the way that I look at it. I was talking to my friend Brandon last night, and I've come to this conclusion. We all agree the Avs are in a window right now, right?
Yes.
With the Avs being in a window, you can't just wait on next year or hope that Landeskog comes back, because next year you can't say that you're going to have Nate healthy, Mikko healthy. You're not going to have all these guys there. We don't know what's going on with Choo Choo. Sam Girard has come on in the second half, but maybe that makes his trade value a little bit higher. It gives him a little bit more value.
Yeah.
When you say that you want to win 3, 4, or 5 Stanley Cups, you don't say you want to start winning 3, 4, 5 Stanley Cups next year. You have to try for it every damn year when you're in this window. Yeah. And that's this moment. So you have to do whatever you can. You have to take the Los Angeles Rams approach when you have that chance and just go after it with all that you can. Because Byram has been healthy this year. Was he going to stay healthy the rest of his career? I don't know. He could have a Sidney Crosby type of career where he was injured early and then finds a way to stay healthy later on. Maybe, but that's an unknown. We don't know what's going to happen with that. What we do know is that Sidney Crosby right now is a great player, and he would help this team, especially with the second center line, second line center. Yes. But I just, you kind of have to say, as great and as much as talent or opportunity as these young guys have, if you get rid of them because they're not going to be part of winning it this year, I'm okay with it. Because we're going to have to go through some lean years somehow, some way. I mean, I know hockey, you have 8 seeds winning the championship, but that really hasn't happened in the last, 6 years, 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, it can happen more so in hockey than other sports, especially basketball. But I feel you have to go and get these guys. And maybe Saros and a first-round pick, and then you're trading Byram to the Penguins and another pick to get Alexander
Ovechkin.
Yeah, sure. There are moves, and I don't know. I think they could bring in another defenseman, if they just decide to not make any goaltender moves, I think you should bring in a defenseman. But at the bottom line, like Joe said, you just got to score more goals than the other team. And Nick, that thing you sent me that was talking about the goaltending in the NHL, it's the worst it's ever been. And you have Georgiev leading the league at one point with the most wins at 20, but giving up 2.5 goals a game. Like that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
2.5 goals.
So
wow.
And that's one of the top 4.
I believe
one of the best.
Yeah. So you don't want to
simply the best.
Well, yeah. I think it's changed as of late.
Well, yeah.
But yeah.
And the problem with Jordan wasn't that he wasn't playing well. It was that he was playing way too much, and you just need someone to take some of that burden off of him because he's gonna get burned out and then give up even more than 2.5 goals a game.
Yeah, it's just that's where I sit with this. You're in the window, you take advantage, you go after it, and the future is you might mortgage the future, but you're gonna win your championships now. Deferred. I'm gonna defer my answer to that question, sir.
I'll defer the coin toss.
Defer everything, right? Oh, Jesus.
I'd like to defer. I'll answer that in about 5 to 7 years.
It does start with a D. You're right. Defer.
Yes.
Los Angeles defers. I love it.
The letter of the day, kids, is D. Not so silent right now.
Los Angeles defers.
As used in a sentence, kids, she wants the
defer.
Thank you. If you guys didn't, I was going to say defer.
Man. I think we might have a new segment here now.
Anyone could have.
I might have to think about this week, and we might have a new segment.
Defer.
Oh man.
Just to rip on the Dodgers.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
By the way, I put a $5 bet for the Rockies to win the National League West.
Okay.
Pays $1,050.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's worth it.
It's $5. I was gonna put 20 on it for that. I'm like, it ain't worth the 20, but the 5, I can deal with a $5 bet.
Well, especially if 5 gets you 1,000. Yeah, you do that in a heartbeat. That's hilarious.
All right, hold on to that because I got to ask one more question real quick, and we'll move into baseball.
Okay.
Again, same thing. Avalanche are also down to the stretch run. Also, less than 30 games remaining here for the Avs. Other than the trade stuff, where does their focus need to be right now?
Hockey.
I think they.
Yeah,
I think they need in the division, not in the conference, not in the West though. Second in the division. I think they need to. I think they really just need to focus on, just winning these games ahead. I don't know. I mean, there's no real magic thing because until the trade deadline hits, we don't know which way this Avs team is going. If the Avs go and get defensemen at this trade deadline, then I think it sends a message that, Georgie, you've got to be better. We're giving you the help. We believe in you, and we're giving you all the tools you need to be a top-tier goaltender. If the Avs go out and get offense, then we know that all they're going to do, that they don't have faith in Georgie to hold any teams to a shutout or a low-scoring game, even though they just did it to the Red Wings, then it's saying, hey, we're just going to outscore you. So right now, I think they just need to hold pattern and win these games until the deadline hits and we go after and see what direction management wants to go in. Because I said it before, I think managers or management and the trade deadline will tell us whether or not these guys are really selling out for this year, or if management is putting all their eggs in a basket for next year and hoping that Landeskog comes back. Because last year when the Avs didn't really do anything at the deadline, we kind of saw the writing on the wall that, hey, well, they're just they're okay with what they have, and they
Yeah.
were hoping Landon Scott came back, and there's still hope he comes back for the playoffs, which I think is a crapshoot. I think that's
I don't want to see it. That just
Don't rush it.
Let him get healthy. There's no reason to do that, and I don't want to waste a second year of the potential window of McKinnon, McCarr, and Rantanen. Like we did that last year. We didn't make a ton of moves, and now we're looking better this year for sure. But I don't love the idea of, well, let's go with what we have. Maybe we can make a run that's surprising, and then next year, we'll get Landy back. Maybe we bring in Crosby and kind of shuffle some things around and whatever. Like, no, fuck that. Do something now. Get the team more ready this year, and then next year, maybe Landy coming back solves some stuff for you because you've given him plenty of time. Don't make him feel like he has to come back early. And I don't like the idea of wasting another year. And it is hockey, so you kind of want to hedge your bets, and you don't want to just put everything in this year basket. But I don't know, man. I feel like they'll be able to work around it, especially if they can make a deep run. Or shit, if you've got Sidney Crosby, that's going to solve a lot of issues, and a lot of guys are going to want to come to the Avalanche to win a cup with Sidney Crosby. You just make sure those guys play defense.
Well, and not to nitpick, but it is kind of nitpicky. But you said waste the second year. These years go by fast. These guys have been together. This is their third year. They're coming up on, and I know they play longer in hockey, but Nate's not always going to be as fast. I mean, they're coming up. Next year is their fourth year together with McKinnon, McCarr, and Rantanen. Like, that's year 4. We're getting closer, at least in these hockey terms, of the possibility of one of these guys not staying with the Avalanche.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we're on year 3 of this. Granted, we won a championship in year 1, but we're still on year 3 right now. And if you're going to win in those windows, like we were talking about when the Avs won that cup, of a team that could win 3, 4, or 5, you don't win 3, 4, or 5 by saying, well, we'll go after it next year.
Yeah. There's always a next year. It'll be better next year. We're probably sure. Eventually, Nazem Kadri will be available again. That'll be great, right? Like, I hate that. If that's when they make a real cup run, is when by the time they do it is when Nazem Kadri is available, and they just bring it back anyway. Sorry, Nick.
I don't know. There's rumors that EJ might be coming back.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
whatever works.
Yeah,
he'll fit right in, and that's the biggest part. Sorry about that. Move over here.
Speaking of fitting right in, baseball's back.
Baseball season, baby. There we go. I'm a little excited. I don't know where to. Let's start with the uniforms. Let's start there. So, apparently, we weren't getting enough women to watch baseball, so now Nike and Fanatics have found a unique way to bring women to the game. See-through pants.
Okay, to be fair, many baseball pants are kind of see-through. There's.
I've never had that problem because I was a catcher, so I always had.
You always had gear, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I told you the story ever since I got one to the nuts in tryouts, and I was on the ground. I've worn a cup every single time since then. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem for me. Like, yeah, and I wouldn't mind going out and showing off either without it every once in a while. Like, whatever, just let it fly free. But
because I'm free.
Yeah, I think
they're balling.
Colin free balling. They've always been somewhat transparent. Maybe it's a little bit more this year simply because Fanatics uses the cheapest crap possible, even if it's for a major league organization. But they've always had some sheer to them. Okay, let's not beat around the bush like this is a brand new thing. It's just coming out a little bit more because it's another thing on top of the pile, on top of the fire of Fanatics that has been building ever since they released the jerseys. And when a player tweets about his jersey being wrong, then Fanatics saying, oops, we'll get this fixed, not realizing he's an actual Major League Baseball player. That's a bad look on you. You
It
have
is.
you have some intern because you have probably so many responses about these bad uniforms. You just have someone who doesn't know anything about any of this,
It's just not
just responding automatically, and it's like, yo, I play for, I think it was a Mariners.
Mariners.
Yeah. I play for the Mariners. Like, I am a Major League Baseball player. These are the uniforms you sent me and us as an organization. Oops, we'll get that fixed for you if you could slide into our DMs.
Oh my god, it's so dumb. I mean, like,
Did you guys see the next one they're coming out with? The spandex short shorts. I'm kidding.
That's what I'll be wearing in Miami.
Yeah, right.
It's at first, obviously it was about the lettering of the numbers. The letters are much smaller, and I mean, at first it was stupid, but more often than not, I already know who my favorite player. I know most of those players anyway. I don't need to see their name unless it's a kid getting called up. And so that didn't bother me a whole lot. It does look dumb.
Yeah.
But, when you have Pete Crow Armstrong, whose name goes from left kidney to right kidney with the regular letters, now he actually has a decently shaped name. It is what it is. That didn't bother me that much, but all I know is for a long time when I would travel, I would get a jersey and a hat because I liked the jersey I wanted to represent a player from that time that, what played for them and, represented, this is who I liked when I went to go see X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And so like I stopped doing that for a while because as Majestic started losing their contract, obviously you and I both know, price of the jerseys went significantly higher. They went almost 100%.
I was gonna say it's like $200 now.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and the authentic ones were like $350. Wow. And yeah, the replicas were $200.
So is baseball the most expensive jersey of all sports?
Hockey. Well,
no, because my hockey sweater wasn't that much. My sweet fucking Nordiques Joe Sakic captain jersey was like $2.
Yeah, but that was a Mitchell and Ness too, so that's gonna be
okay.
Pricier.
That's a good point. But yeah, still like that's a lot. Fuck. Like, I thought basketball and hockey jerseys was a lot because I just mostly buy football.
The authentics, they're expensive.
And so I'd knock down a level to batting practice jerseys for because they were still affordable.
Yeah.
Well, nobody sells batting practice jerseys anymore. Nope. And if you get a replica, it's still like you said, $200. And I'm like, I don't want to spend $300 for a jersey and a hat basically for this one game. I mean, yes, it's gonna be a cool memory, but that's stupid.
It's not worth that much.
No.
Well, and I, you mentioned that I've thought about on my second tour doing a custom jersey, but if it's these Fanatics jerseys, I don't want to do a jersey from every stadium if they're these ones.
No.
That's even though I'm not really going to be wearing it, I still I don't like the look of it and what's happened. So yeah, it's changed my mind. I mean, possibly right now. I think by the time I get to the second round, well, the contract won't be up, but we'll see what changes. It's just, I'm glad I didn't start that as my remembrance of baseball stadium tours. As my thing, because I would be pissed off if I had to buy one of these jerseys. Or I wouldn't have to buy it, but if I felt like I had to buy it in order to continue my collection.
What you guys should do is look out for like the funniest shitty like bargain bin on clearance player name jersey and of that style and pick it up just so that you have like the snapshot of history of what these stupid fucking jerseys look like. And it's funny because it's some asshole that, I'm just picturing like what's the guy for the Red Sox that the ball went under his legs? And the Buckner.
Bill Buckner.
Yeah, someone like that,
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Nick. Do you have something else on this? Because I was gonna throw I have a transition for us. If there's another baseball thing you want to hit, well, I can go back to it.
Hold on to it because also Manfred says he's done after 2029. The new commissioner that comes in, do they make any changes to whatever he's done? Pitch clock.
No, yeah, I think Theo Epstein might be the new.
I would love that.
I
He was
think
my
that-
hero.
I think with what's happening in baseball, and Epstein has had a large role in some of these new rules being introduced. I really think he's going to be baseball's next commissioner. So, do I think he makes changes? Yeah, I think he might make some tweaks on some things, but I think these have already been big enough changes for a game that hadn't changed in so many years that I don't think it happens right away. I think it might be small things, but it's not going to be anything like a pitch clock, universal DH, larger bases. I don't think it's going to be anything along those lines.
Okay.
I mean, hell, it took 23 seasons for every team to have a humidor.
Yeah.
Consistent baseballs. So.
Yep.
Wow.
I heard Colin say he had a.
I do. All right. So, in true betting form, going into the victory formation, who's the favorite? The Fanatics jerseys or Great Britain World Baseball Classic jerseys?
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory. On one break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kinda winging it.
Oh, that's right, everybody. I have officially clusterfucked Nick's mind with that.
Fanatics.
With Fanatics over the Microsoft Word Paint 93 edition Great Britain World Baseball Classic uniforms that letters, at least
Vista
on the Fanatics uniforms.
For now.
Were crooked.
For now.
Great Britain was losing them. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that from last year, Joe. Great Britain.
No, I didn't see it.
World Baseball Classic uniforms. We had talked about it. Were terrible. Like they were put together by 3-year-olds in a basic print office. Oh, here goes Nick deciding to type and try and pull them up. So don't mind the rain falling on it. Speaking of rain, one of us made it rain last week, going 3-0. One of us got rained on, going 0-3. And then one of us stood out in the rain a little bit too long, going 1-2. Let's get into it. And where we are,
didn't come pick me up. I was stuck in the rain.
Who we picked? Game number 1 was the East versus the West in the All-Star game. Well, Nick and I chose the West. Joe was the only smart one, picked the underdog East at 20 and plus 124, winning 22-40.
Yeah, they try. That was the only
If you haven't
Jason
caught
Tatum
on,
is the All-Star game leader, and I was like, I couldn't remember anybody else on that team, but I'm like, you know what? They're just actually going to try. Whereas the West is going to have Luka and Jokic, and
and if you haven't caught on, that's the first win. Someone went 3-0. So there you go. Joe is our 3-0 this week. And the second game, it was Marquette versus UConn. UConn, Joe and I both picked UConn. Marquette loses that game. UConn drubbed Marquette. So, Nick, that means you are 0-3 on the week.
Yep.
To our last game, which was the Flyers versus the Devils in the outdoor game. Devils end up winning that game 6-3. It was tied at one point, and then the Devils stepped on the gas and went along. Here is a picture of the Great Britain jerseys from last year.
wow. That's especially with the buttons going down through the middle, so they're like they're not even spaced with that amount of space between each letter, which you easily could have done. That's
Not good.
That's like something somebody made in 2K, and was 7. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I was like the Fanatics ones or Great Britain, because they were the worst ones of the bunch last year. But yeah, I would say Fanatics, but it's still a tough choice because neither one are good.
Can we get those and see-through pants?
Of course. Anything for you. So, with
Thanks,
that
buddy.
being said, to wrap up the week, Nick or Joe going 3-0 means you won 52.89, bringing you into
a mile.
bringing
9
you into
cents too much.
first place
I'll go the
at
extra mile. for you.
185.48. I'm in second, losing $6.92 at 152.84. Nick, you are dropped down to third. You were in first, or no, you were in second. Excuse me.
Second.
Wait, I'm
Dropped down
winning?
to third, back to 107.87. That's what I said to start this thing off, Joe. Thanks for paying attention.
That's sick. No, I was talking as you were talking, so I didn't hear it.
So, with that being said, we are still all over the $100 threshold, and it's only the end of February with all these $10 bets. Let's get into our picks for this weekend. This weekend, we start things off with tonight's basketball game. We have the New York Brooklyn Nets versus the Minnesota Twin Tower Timberwolves in Minnesota. Timberwolves coming off a loss last night to the Bucks in a game that they fought. It was a hard fought game at the end. Looked like they were gonna get blown out, but they end up losing. The Nets are traveling to Minnesota. So, Nick, who you got?
I'm going to go Nets.
Nick goes with the Nets. Joe, who you got?
It's Nets and Timberwolves?
Yeah.
Timberwolves.
Alpha back-to-back, though?
I don't care. The Nets are
Emotional
terrible.
game? Okay.
Well, I figured Nets are terrible, but I also, the way the game ended last night for the Nets, or for the Timberwolves, I think they might be out of gas today against the Nets.
Yeah.
So, we move on to college basketball, and matchups were tough this weekend, so I just chose Texas versus Kansas. Kansas is a big favorite at minus 355, Texas plus 280, but these two teams do have a history of playing each other, and they have a playing close games. So I'll leave it at that and let Joe pick Texas or Kansas.
Fuck it, Jayhawks.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were going to Texas. I am going to take the Jayhawks also, but I will say if you are betting on this game, wait till halftime because the Kansas is a slow starting team. So the odd lines are probably going to change as the game gets started. Nick, who you got? Are you gonna?
We have Longhorns.
Oh, do you have the horns up? Okay, I'm typing on the other screen, so I can't see that.
We have Longhorns.
All right, then we move to Sunday night basketball. There are no Major League Baseball spring training lines that I saw, so not on our betting app numbers. So
That's sad.
Move to Sunday night basketball and what should be a better game. We have the Sacramento Kings, last year's darlings, against the once again team we talked about earlier, the Los Angeles Clippers, who are on a tear. It's in LA. I am going. Oh, I was. I don't want to. I don't want to.
He doesn't want to.
I don't want to take the
Clippers.
Clippers, but I'm
He
going.
really doesn't.
I'm
He's
taking the
gonna.
Clippers. I'm taking the Clippers. Nick, who you got?
I'm gonna go Sacramento.
Here you
Nick is
go.
going contrarian on everything. Yeah, everything. 'Cause I'm sure the Clippers are going to be favored. Joe, who you got?
Oh, I'm taking the Clippers. Yeah, LAC.
All right, and we move to the best one of the week. Call of Duty League. The
Oh!
Los Angeles Thieves at plus 110 are visiting the Miami Heretics at minus 145 in a matchup for the ages.
The ages.
It's East Coast, West Coast. Who's the best coast?
Oh.
Who's got the best emotes? Is going to emote all over your face.
Who wears the best coats?
Nick, who you got? The Los Angeles Thieves or the Miami Heretics?
Let's go West Coast, baby.
He's staying with his underdogs. He loves LA, just not the Clippers. That's Nick Archuleta. Joe, who you got?
They have better drugs in Miami, so they can stay up later. I'm gonna
Are
take
you
Miami.
sure? You're into that designer BS, huh?
In video games, staying up late is what matters.
So I shouldn't use Nick's pattern from last year. Like, well, I'll be going to this place soon. I'm not going to LA anytime soon, but I did book my trip to Miami. I literally typed in Miami instead of Joe.
We're in Miami, bitch.
But I am going to Miami as my trip is booked. So I'm going to go with Nick's theme from last year. This is where I'm going, so I'm going to pick them. And so that means that Joe will probably both lose this one, but that's okay.
Sweet.
I'm going with Miami. And that wraps up our victory formation and our show for this week. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah, once a week. If we forgot to tell you guys, we're going to go back to once a week now.
Oh, yeah, we should say that.
Football season is no longer around, so it seems kind of redundant to talk two sports that's
we'll have 2 shows a week again. It won't be that long.
Yeah, you take your time. We need a break.
Yeah.
Thank you to Michael Spillane and everybody over at e5280sports.com for having our show on their network. Make sure you check them out. Thank you to our sponsor, Pikes Peak Sports Cards. And make sure you check out the other shows on e5280sports.com. For Colin Zanker and Joe Goodwin, I'm Nick Archuleta. This has been the Undrafted Uncensored. Thanks for everybody that's joined us on every social that we have. I only see 2 of them, but thank you everybody for tuning in.
Share it. Tell your friends.
Tell your mom's
everybody.
Friends. Tell your moms.
Just like it. You don't even just put it on in the background. You don't even need the volume up.
Just like us, please.